Rider, that crash at Graham Hill Bend, really doing some damage in terms of his grid position. What can he do from 11th on the grid? We wait for the lights to go out to signal the start of the first race of the weekend for the R&G British Talent Cup. We're underway. Lovely start from Harrison McKay, going straight down the middle and challenging Soroviak, going for second place. Lovely start by Sparks, though. He's got the whole shot going into Paddock Hill Bend for the first time of asking, and it is McKay who has managed to find his way through into second place. Side by side for third, though, and I believe it's Soroviak who's been shuffled down to fourth position going into Druids. No, he's just managed to stay ahead of Clayton Edmonds, actually, so it's Soroviak third, then Edmonds on those two red machines going through Graham Hill Bend.
Yeah, Ryan Frost, I had my eyes on Ryan Frost the whole time. He made a couple of good move. There was a few guys out the seat as well in that, and he sort of managed to take advantage of that. So he's done a really good job this first lap, but you know, it's 14 laps. He needs to not rush it. He doesn't have to push too hard. You know, with these guys with a slipstream, you can sort of grab that bunch and sort of just work your way through. So he's got to be quite mindful, and this is why it's good experience for these guys. You know, they need to learn. He's had a terrible qualifying. He's got a new day today, and you know, a new race. Sorry, and it's his opportunity now to prove himself.
Well, Frosty's on the back of Julian Correa. There, we'll get confirmation of the position when they go over the timing line. It's about 7th place for Ryan Frost, I believe, actually, which is a cracking start from 11th on the grid. So the Rhino already charging, and already challenges happening for the lead as well, with Harrison McKay all over the back of his younger teammate. Remember, Harrison McKay had that super emotional breakthrough maiden victory last time out at Snetterton, and was then denied it with disqualification for all of the RS machines. And so he is probably up for a bit of redemption, but so far he's got to deal with Philip Soroviak, who looks on the inside going into Paddock Hill Bend for second place. Also a change for fourth as well, with Jack Dunnerby moving past Clayton Edmonds.
Yeah, Harrison McKay, you couldn't help but feel sorry for him. You know, despite what happened with the rules and regulations, you know, you still have to feel a little bit sorry that he got his first win, and obviously it's taken away from you. So, you know, as a racer, you feel like that's going to just go right. I am coming out the next one. I'm coming out swinging, and yeah, he's doing a good job. But obviously, you know, Ethan Sparks again doing a great job. He's just out there. He's keeping his nose clean. He's not getting into any of the dramas or battling with anybody else. He's literally just out there doing his own thing, and that's a lovely way to race.
Confirmation over the timing line. It was Frost in 7th place behind Julian Correa, so up 4 places from his starting position. It's game on for second place again, with McKay having to defend against Soroviak. They're going into Hawthorne's taking that place back, and it looks like Frosty in the background there just managed to make that move on Julian Correa as well. The Barcelona-based Floridian yielding the spot of 6th place. But it's game on between teammates here, with McKay, Soroviak and Edmonds all going gun-ho over second place.
Yeah, and you know, like, it'll be good now if we can get Frost to join the party. You know, when he's got a bit of clear track ahead of him, he can just try. He's just got to try and, again, just keep calm and, you know, just try and gain every single lap. You know, if it's a few tenths, that's all, if that's all you can do, and that gets him back in the fight, that's a great. But this is a great lap by Sparks, this one.
Yeah, really good one. Done the fastest lap of the race, leads by half a second as we start lap 3. It's McKay in second still, just about ahead of Soroviak and Dunnerby. But for how much longer? Here comes Dunnerby on the inside going into Druids. Very, very nearly contact there with Soroviak, and Clayton Edmonds doing a cracking job on that self-run bike out there as well. So all the might of the RS Racing quartet up at the front of the field, and there's Clayton Edmonds hanging on to them very nicely as well.
Yeah, he seems to have pulled a bit of time back, Clayton Edmonds there. You know, obviously he's sort of kept that gap behind him to Frost, and he's doing a really good job. You know, the more these guys battle, the more it's going to play into his hands, and we can see him here, look, free abreast down into Hawthorne.
Yep, so Soroviak on the inside, Dunnerby trying to follow him through, but that is a change for second place with Soroviak, the serial winner of this season. Remember, it's been win or bust for Soroviak so far this season. 4 wins, 2 non-finishes. The first coming at Silverstone on the MotoGP support bill, the British Grand Prix, where he went down on the final lap, and then going down while leading at Snetterton last time out as well.
Yeah, and if you want to win a championship, you cannot afford that. You know, Ryan Frost has just been consistently doing what he needs to do. I believe he's got 1 win in there as well, and you know, he is just doing an amazing job, and that's all you need to do. Keep finishing. You know, if you can only finish 5th today, take 5th place, get yourself higher up in the grid for tomorrow's race. Be sensible, use your head. This is what this championship is all about. It's about learning. It's about learning your racecraft, your championship craft, and you know, that's what you need to do. So yeah, Sorowiak's had a lot of speed this year, but just unable to capitalise on that in the championship standings.
Yeah, Frosty's only been off the podium once so far this season. I dare say he may be adding a second to it unless he can really get onto the back of this lot out to the front of the field. He is still there in 6th position at the moment. That was a big error there from Clayton Edmonds, very wide through Graham Hill Bend. Look how much time he's lost to this battle for 2nd place in the meantime, which is just getting closer and closer and closer. Despite Sorowiak taking 2nd place there, not exactly pulling away from the chasing pack. The slipstream's so powerful on these bikes. That mistake from Edmonds now starting to cost him, because here comes Ryan Frost, the championship leader, and is Correa they're going to make it 3 wide? I don't think he quite didn't quite have the bravery for that, and that was probably a wiser decision than to do so. And so Frost tried to get that move done, had a big look over the shoulder there, because I think he knew his exit onto the Minter Straight was a little bit compromised. Frost now trying it on the inside into the Sheen curve, no way through there either. He does have to be careful because Correa will strike.
What's interesting is seeing those guys go through Westfields. You know, there's a massive bump there, and the speed these guys and the way they're carrying their lines and the lean angle they've got, the bike sort of looked like it took off there. Looked a bit scary. Ryan Frost there through on Clayton Edmonds. This is going to be his time now. Just try and get away from these guys and try and bridge a gap.
Edmonds trying to come back at him now, slightly narrower line down the Brabham Straight, but it is Frost who now is able to pull across. But now Edmonds coming back up the inside into Paddock Hill Bend. Great battling for 5th place in this race so far. Correa on the back of it, and I'll tell you what as well, Jack Burrows, who started in 5th position, is not far away from them either, as we look down on Druids as well. And is that Edmonds in the 2nd in that queue? Yes, it was. And then Correa actually just lost the place to Jack Burrows there. So the number 16 machine from RK Racing that started on the 2nd row of the grid starting to fight back.
Yeah, let's see what happens now. You know, obviously there's 10 laps to go. There's a 2-second gap from 4th place to 5th place. Let's see if, you know, if 2nd to 4th mess each other up, it might allow Frost and the other group to just catch up. You know, it's only 2 seconds. It only takes a couple of bad laps for that to that gap to get closed. So let's see what happens.
McKay to 2nd, but Dunnerby coming straight back at him on the inside into Westfield. Oh, incredible stuff. Sorowiak somehow has lost both those places on this lap so far, and now we're going to go 3 abreast almost down Dingle Dell and into the Sheen curve. The one who comes out on top is Harrison McKay, though. Incredible stuff. And so the most experienced rider of the 3 in his 5th season of Talent Cup racing against Sorowiak in his 4th. But that is the rain flag out, Danny. We said there were spots of rain in the air.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look like it's raining too hard, so we would call that obviously the mental rain. You just have to try and keep the heat in the tyres, keep pushing. And I feel really sorry for Ethan Sparks here, because when this happens, you know, being the leader, you are effectively the guinea pig. You know, there's first out in front, there's a few spots on the camera there. So, you know, you can imagine as a rider, that would be on the visor as well, and that does slow you down a little bit. So Sorowiak's experience here might play into the hands in this race, and you know, he's probably hoping for a little bit of rain to slow Ethan Sparks down. Sorowiak
to 3rd on the inside of Druids, but coming straight back at him was Harrison McKay going through Graham Hill Bend. It's chopped and changed once again with Sorowiak squeezing him over, but look, it was wobbling so much under braking there. You can start to see the water just starting to settle onto the racetrack. Jack Dunnerby is starting to pull away from these guys. The good news for Sparks, though, is he's got 1.7 seconds over the chasing pack, so we can afford to take it a little bit cautious, but we're not even halfway through this race. Still an awfully long way to go, as Sorowiak has to yield 3rd place to McKay once again on this lap.
Yeah, and I can't stress to you how horrible that is. You know, being in Ethan Sparks' position, leading the race, you've got spits of rain, spots of rain. you know, up until this point, he has had more pace than everybody else. So, you know, it's a hard thing, but he seems to be handling it well. A lot of these guys ride pit bikes and mini bikes and other things away from the track, you know, and they'll be used to riding in the mixed conditions with slick tyres and, you know, skidding the bike around and playing about in it. So I fully expect that these guys are really prepared for these conditions, but when you are leading the race, it is a horrible feeling. It's sort of one of those things where you're like, your stomach goes a bit funny because you're like, oh really, this could have just been a nice sunny day and I could have just walked away with 2-second lead.
I think Sparky's liking these conditions because he's pulled nearly 0.6 of a second. A fall there for Jack Burrows. He just got himself back up into that fight for 5th position, but he's gone down somewhere on the Grand Prix. Luke Sorowiak takes 3rd position away once again from Harrison McKay. You see how the gap has ebbed and flowed between Sorowiak and Ryan Frost, who of course at the start of the lap they were line astern in the timing order, but Frost still 1.3 seconds back from this battle, and them squabbling constantly doesn't seem to be bringing Frost into this.
No, they seem to be maintaining a really good pace here, you know. Just touching back on the rain flag, I can't see it being that bad anywhere because our timing controls, our timing screen, you know, we have no notification of that, and usually if it's raining everywhere, as we see Sorowiak there make the move.
Yeah, and McKay trying to follow him through as well for 3rd position, and so it is 1 down but 1 back up again for McKay on this lap so far, as Sorowiak up 2 from the start of the lap. So Sorowiak 2nd, then McKay, then Dunby, all changed once again. Confirmation it was Sterling's where Jack Burrows went down on that previous lap though, but Ryder okay.
Yeah, and just not worth noting, Chris, he's got that down to 1.3 seconds that last lap, the gap from Sorowiak to Frost. So it looks like it's going to be a little bit closer now. You know, if that rain starts to fall, obviously we've seen that cross go away there and the red cross on there, but which indicates obviously there's rain. Yeah, I mean, he could do it. You know, there's 8 laps to go. There's still a long way to go. These guys are going to fight each other. It's guaranteed. You know, no one's going to settle for this position, and I think that's going to bring Frost to the party.
McKay back to the inside into Paddock Hill Bend. Seemed like the rain was getting a bit heavier down there, didn't it? Start to see the streaks landing. Sorowiak trying to take it back, but McKay's really struggling to get it stopped for Druids. One's out just ever so slightly wide, not enough to allow Sorowiak to go back through. But these guys are on an absolute knife edge at the moment, pushing as hard as they possibly can and being greeted with different track conditions and different grip conditions every single time they lean into a corner.
Yeah, the gap still seems to be 1.3 seconds there from Dunby down to Frost. It was only a little bit of time. He was 2 tenths slower that last lap, Dunby was, than Frost. So, you know, he's doing similar lap times, 3 abreast.
Yeah, that's McKay going back through into Hawthorn for 2nd place, and Frost is starting to close in on this fight as well. He's taken half a second out of them on that previous lap. Astonishingly, that lap there from Ethan Sparks, the 35.8, is a new lap record despite the conditions out there. So incredible pace there from Ethan Sparks, taking that away from Emmanuel Brinton. Now back to this battle for 2nd place, which is still McKay, Sorowiak and Dunby, which is proving to be the absolute battle of the season so far. Sorowiak back on the inside at Clearways into 2nd.
Ethan Sparks doing a fantastic job. He's out there, he's just, you know, he's just clocking them laps in. He's 35.8, he's got, you know, big lead now for every couple of seconds, that looks like to me. 3.3 seconds, you know, it's only playing into his hands this now. I think those spots of rain there, Chris, are old spots of rain. We've got no indication of rain on our timing screen, you know, and they're pretty sharp with that. So I think that the conditions are okay, they're holding out for now.
Oh, Sorowiak steering it in there MotoGP style with the rear wheel sliding around like crazy, going into Druids, retaking that 2nd place, having just lost it at Clearways again. And look, there's Ryan Frost right at the back of this queue and only a couple of bike lengths away from in that, and he had a big look over the shoulder there to confirm 2.6 seconds back to Peter Willis. They've got space to fight.
Such a good ride, you know, from P11, he's a few good laps at the start, not rushed it, not got himself stressed out. These guys all fighting each other, you know, has played into his hands a little bit, but he's got to be in it to win it, and I think he's going to get to the front of this group, he's going to have a couple of deep breaths, and then he's going to really try and move himself forward.
Great exit from McKay out of Hawthorns onto the Minter straight, got squeezed out on the entry. Frost has officially entered the fight now. It's 4 for second place. Look over the shoulder there from Dunderby. Yes, there's the championship leader, and now he's passing for 4th position as well, and so is McKay for 2nd place into Sheen Curve. Real brave stuff out there. So McKay go through, Soroviak coming back through into Sterling's as well. It changes places before we can even get done saying it. He's coming back at him straight away on the exit of the corner and retakes 2nd place.
We have 4 in the fight for 2nd now. You know, Frost is there. Frost needs to just see what other guys are doing, what they're doing. They're breaking here, they're running wide here. You know, have a little look. You know, these 3 have been racing with each other the last 9 laps now. So, you know, he's just got to sort of not rush through this bit. You know, he's never going to catch Ethan Sparks. But look at Soroviak on the brakes there. You know, he's excited. The adrenaline's going. He won't be feeling much now in terms of pain.
No, of course not. Remember, he is riding slightly injured, nearly contact on the exit of Paddock Hill Bend between the teammates as they were squabbling over 3rd place there, trying to get the exit. And it is Dunderby who's just emerged in 3rd position ahead of McKay. Frost yet to really show his nose in this fight just yet. But remember, Soroviak riding with that fractured foot and hand after a big crash testing in Assen. Here comes Dunderby on the inside for 2nd place on Soroviak at Surtees. It changes places once again. The Scotsman currently leading this fight. Meanwhile, Ethan Sparks 4.5 seconds clear. Forget about him. He is absolutely gone. And it's McKay trying to find his way back through on Soroviak. Must be fed up with passing him at this point in the race.
Yeah, Ryan Sachs, he's down there on a stretcher because he can't watch this race any longer. He's got 4 of his bikes in the top 4 and they're all battling each other. You know, Ethan Sparks out front, he's doing a mega job, and you know, we keep saying he's really growing into this season. And yeah, look, Dunderby there, he's not scared, are they? They're not scared to pass.
Not into Sheen, not one iota. Brilliant stuff. And it's, yeah, the 3 RS bikes and then the Fibertech by MLab Rider trying to split them at the back of this queue as well. The championship leader having risen from 11th on the grid. Ryan Frost, the Rhino as he likes to be called, has charged his way up the order in 5th place at the moment. But it's less than half a second that separates these 4 bikes squabbling over 2nd place. 10 laps completed, and it is Dunderby who leads him over the line. Soroviak going for 2nd place once again into Paddock Hill Bend. And Dunderby straightening up on the exit and go for it back again into Druids. Yes, he can. He's on the inside. Here comes Frosty as well. Can't make that move done, but Dunderby can.
Yeah, there's some real interesting lines at turn 1. You know, if you are wider on the entry, you sort of get a really good drive down and up into Druids. If you're tighter on the entry, you lose that drive up the hill into Druids. And we kept seeing, you know, Soroviak there was up the inside. He's having to slow himself down and lose that speed, as we see McKay there having a go. And here as well, it's massive compromise. Doing this, watch McKay at the end of this straight now. He's going to lose a lot of speed now to Soroviak and to Frost.
But is he going to be able to recoup some of that back with the slipstream from Dunderby? That is the question. Of course, these single-cylinder engines, yes, in fact, because look, McKay going on the inside into Hawthorn and taking 2nd place away.
I'll just get back in my box, guys, sorry. I know nothing.
Well, Soroviak coming under pressure again with yeah, Dunderby just in front of it, but now the top 2 in the championship line astern, and Frosty had a little go there on his title rival going into Sheen, but Soroviak had that one covered up is more. Oh, we've got a red flag out. Now that is probably due to the conditions, but that does mean that the race will be declared as we have hit the 2/3 distance. And so it is a maiden victory for Ethan Sparks in the R&G British Talent Cup. Confirmation for adverse conditions. You can see the rain really coming down now. So calling out the red flag before we have any major incidents. We're at 2/3 race distance. And so Ethan Sparks, who first came to Brands Hatch at 3 years old, being held in the grandstand to watch British Superbike racing by his father underneath the umbrella, and now here he is, a race winner in the R&G British Talent Cup.
And well deserved as well, you know, we can't take that away from Ryan Frost. Starting from 11th, you know, he had a really, really good race there, but really, really happy for Ethan Sparks there. Look, he's really excited.
Dunderby, who claims his 2nd podium finish, and Philip Soroviak, for the first time this season, meets the checkered flag, not in 1st place. Harrison McKay got a feel for him, just missed out there with Ryan Frost from 11th to 5th, ahead of Clayton Edmonds, Julian Creer, Peter Willis, Mason Foster, and Josh Raymond Jr., George Bowes, Charlie Hunterford, Ben Joliffe, Blake Wilson, and Alexander Rowan, completing the points-paying positions. Let's firm things up in the championship then. Filip Sorowiak now leads by just 1 point to Ryan Frost. He